What's going on, everybody? Andrew Thompson here of the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. My guest today is an individual that is the current reigning and defending AAW heavyweight champion. He has his own show on AdFreeShows titled ManceSplainin. This is Mance Warner. Mance, how you doing today, Chief?
Oh, doing good, doing good. Thank you for having me on here, man.
I appreciate you taking the time to do this, man. So talk to me about the ManceSplainin show on AdFreeShows. How did this opportunity come about? Were you the one that went out and pursued it, or did it come to you?
So Conrad hit me up and he had an idea, and he's been pretty good with ideas so far. So they kind of laid it out there. And the whole premise, kind of what we're doing on our ads-free show for ManceSplainin is we all got, our wife or girlfriend, whoever it may be. They're not always wrestling fans, so they don't always understand what we're watching or why we watch it. So basically, I sit down with somebody's wife, girlfriend, whoever it may be, significant other, and we watch crazy wrestling matches and fights, and I explain it. I do my mansplaining, and I drink beers, and it's always a good time, man. I love it every time.
That sounds like a really, really interesting concept. But I like overall, just this week overall, I think it's been a solid week for you. Of course, we got the Mansplaining dropping, and then yesterday, as of today, you defended the AAW heavyweight title against Hakeem Zayn. And I know after the match, you got confronted by Mr. Jake something. Just tell me, is that something like? Firstly, tell me how you think the match with Hakeem went, and then secondly, the opportunity to mix it up with Jake something, and having that big man clash.
Yeah, out there we had the main event. Me and Hakeem Zayn went in there, beat the hell out of each other. I hit him with a DDT, hit him with the knee pad up, knee pad down, 1, 2, 3. And then, as you stated, Jake something came out there. And, me and him, we've went nose to nose before. And I appreciate that, man. I will fight anyone, anywhere, it don't matter. So he stepped up, he picked up my gold. That's not just my gold, that's our gold out of AAW, the crowd, the people. So, he jumped in there. He wants a little bit. That's fine. I'll break him off a little bit, So, Fred Yeha's involved out there too. So there's a whole lot of shit going on. I always tell people they may have heard about AAW before. They may have watched it years ago. Maybe they're not watching it currently. Come on back. Sit down, watch them shows on Fight TV. We're doing it every month. In October, I believe we had 2 events. So it's the roster's crazy. A whole bunch of people out there that love getting wild, so they got a little bit of everything out there. Same thing with GCW, man. I could go on and on putting over companies, man. There's a whole lot of good companies out there.
Yes, and I know you're not a stranger to AAW at all. Of course, you being a world champion, but like, do you think AAW is kind of like one of the most slept on independent promotions out there? Because I know people do know about them, but I feel like enough people don't really, don't really know about them that much.
Yeah. Because I was talking about this recently. AAW as a company, that's a company that's been around for a long time.
Yeah, they've been around for it, yeah.
And people remember like, oh, it used to have this guy or this guy there. Right now, we've got the people at this company are going to be the guys and girls down the road that you're going to see on TV every single week. So it's like, if you're an independent pro wrestling fan, pay that money. I believe it's $12.99 to watch one of the live events on Fight TV, or get on IWTV.com or IWTV. You get on there and watch. We got a bunch of old events on there too. We got some new ones getting on there. So it's that thing where I always tell people, give something a chance and see the new crop of talent out there. Because like I said, these are going to be the same people that down the road are going to be on TV, for all the big companies, So it is what it is, man. Pro wrestling, baby. Spend that money, watch them fights. If you ain't got the money, I'm sure you could bootleg it somehow. I ain't going to tell on nobody.
Yeah, you mentioned GCW. I know you wrestled twice last week, I believe, for GCW. I know you had you wrestled Ricky Shane Page for the GCW World Title, and like the reaction that I saw on social media. I didn't actually get a chance to catch the match, but I saw some of the tweets and stuff on social media, and a lot of people were really behind you to become GCW World Champion. Like, does it ever mean anything to you to know that you have a supportive fan base that was like so amped up and so ready for you to reach that high level of success and become GCW World Champion?
Oh, exactly, man. It means the world. We're all fans of pro wrestling, so when an entire crowd are sitting there going nuts on every little thing that's happening, that's that good shit. Pro wrestling to me is about the moments, not so much the moves or the high spot or this or that. It's about the moments and the characters and the people involved in it, and the crowd lets you know very soon if they're invested. So we had my cat's getting ready to jump on something over there. Ellen, get down. So we had the Nick Gage Invitational the day before.
Right.
And I had 3 fights on that, 3 death matches in a row. And for a lot of people, I don't think they realize that a death match, if you do just one death match, it takes a lot out of you, you know, to bleed that much and to do 3 in a row is a whole nother thing.
Mm.
And then RSP, you know, he's a son of a bitch, man. We all know, you know, we can't, everybody hates him at GCW. So
Yeah, they
he
do.
got in there, you know, thinking he just beat on me and it's going to be easy. But I beat him.
Mm.
His leg may have been underneath that rope looking back on it, but I had him. I beat him.
Mm.
So for them couple seconds, man, I'm sitting there. So for me, as a, you know, a fighter, I'm sitting there going, I beat him. I had him. So now all I need is another shot to get that. And I'm going to get that gold. So it was a long weekend, brother. There, I was bleeding like a pig out there, just blood every. It was something else.
Is that you mentioned RSP, like I can't remember when it was, but I know it was before the pandemic. It was this, I think it was the Run Ricky Run show. I think it was when it was the final image of the show. Like all you saw was people like chugging chairs, throwing beers. Like they was like they despised this dude, man. So I know like you have a supportive fan base, but I think anybody like they just want to get the title off Ricky Shane Page.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of old school wrestling, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Old, you know, like when the NWO would come in and beat the hell out of everybody. And then the crowd's just pissed off, man. They want Sting to get them. They want Goldberg to get them. And they start throwing shit in the ring. That was one of them moments, man, sitting out there because we're running out trying to defend our company. And you could see the crowd and you could feel it. It's like
they were invested,
people
man.
always say at WrestleMania, you could feel the crowd.
Mm.
At GCW, every show, it don't matter where it is, you can feel the crowd because they're from the pre-show to the end of the night, they're letting you know. So it's always a good feeling out there.
And, you know, you mentioned the Nick Gage Invitational. We got to talk about that match you had against Masada. Man, I think that was the last match of that 3 that you had, the main event. I think it was that show. Like, man, and I of course, I mentioned, like, I saw some clips of that match. And, like, it was this one image, dude. Like, it was like the camera was, like, right on you. They caught you from the side, and the blood was just, like, leaking. I was like, Jesus, man. I was like, I don't know how you did it. But, like, when you go through stuff like that, man, you mentioned, and you said it take a toll on you. But, like, is it sometimes when you wake up the next morning, you, like, I could have eased up on that just a little bit, like maybe just a little bit.
Well, it's to be a pro wrestler, I always say you got to be a little crazy in the head, you know. So especially in the deathmatch game, there ain't no bullshit in there. You know, everything in there hurts. There ain't nothing that don't hurt. It all hurts. So especially 3 fights like that, I saw some pictures and you could see where blood was legit squirting, you know, 2 feet out of my head and shit. So at the time, I don't even know that's going on, you know. I know I'm bleeding. I know I'm in pain, but in my head, I'm going, I got to get up and keep fighting. Especially with Masada, he's a legend, you know. So it's that thing where it's like, you can't stay down. You got to get up. You got to keep fighting. Right. You want to win. To win that tournament means you're one of the guys, you know. In 20 years, there's going to be other people in this industry that look back and go, oh, you know, oh, Mancer, or this guy or that guy, you know. So it's like to have my name in the mix with all them legends, it's an honor, you know. I think a lot of people forget about that, and they just think about pro wrestling as I got to get paid and I got to be, you know, the guy. I got to be at all these places. I think they forget there comes, you know, once you're up there, it falls on your back to keep everything going. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people, you know, in that whole situation. So it's kind of like it's an honor, man. It's an honor to be in the same mix as all them guys that we grew up watching, and we bootleg VHS tapes and DVDs and watch all the TODs and all the crazy shit, you know. So it's cool, man. It's cool shit.
Right. And you know, you mentioned death matches. Of course, we just had a whole thing about that. One of the legends of the game, Tremont, retired last month, took his final bow in the wrestling ring in a death match, of course. Did the honors on the way out. Good man right there. But like to see Tremont, you know, and what he's been through throughout his career, and you know, the strides that he's made in death matches and in professional wrestling in general. Like, what did it mean to you to kind of see him get that last big, you know, hoorah match and had a fan send him out? You know, everybody was going crazy for him and had that big moment.
It was awesome, man. I was sitting in here drinking and I was watching that one. It was him and RSP.
Yeah.
And, you know, Maddie's been doing this shit a long time. And he's another one of them guys that I always say, you know, like, he's a legend. You know, he's been everywhere. He's done everything, you know. So it's you feel kind of bad because for me, I'm going like, well, I know he's happy to be, you know, done with it. You ain't got to be on the road. You ain't got to be beating your body up. But as a fan, because we're still fans at the end of the day, I'm sitting there like, Well, I don't want him to stop because I want to fight him.
About to fight him, right?
I want another fight. You know, me and
Right.
him, I want to get in there again. I want him at GCW. I want guys like him to be there and give advice to all of us and to the next crop of guys and to keep it going, you know, to pass down the knowledge, you know. I think that's something that kind of over time goes away from pro wrestling too. A lot of people just think they know everything when Helen, calm down now. You know what I'm doing over here. People forget, you know, they got to pass that knowledge on. And so, you know, it's I'm happy for him, but in the same sense, you're like, damn it, I want a couple more fights, you know. So
yeah, you want to know something you just mentioned though, like you said, you call Tremont a legend. I think a lot of people, when they hear that word, they automatically assume that you got to be on a nationally televised show to be considered a legend. But Tremont is a legend in professional wrestling, just in the sense that of what he's accomplished over the years and being consistent. So being able to, like, I think that term doesn't get thrown around enough to some people just because they haven't been on a nationally televised company. I'm just wondering what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. I agree too, because a lot of people think that either they don't know about independent pro wrestling or they only watch like WWE or, you know, maybe they used to watch WCW and then they quit watching everything or whatever it may be. But I think a lot of people forget with independent pro wrestling, there's legends out there.
Legends in there.
You know, Eddie Kingston was a legend on independent
For
pro
sure.
wrestling. He
100%.
taught so many people. Tracy Smothers just passed away. And without Tracy Smothers, I wouldn't know a lot of shit. You know, Chris Hero, Eddie Kingston, you name all these guys that Tracy was like, I was talking recently with one of my buddies and I was describing Tracy as kind of like the dad of independent pro wrestling because he had went everywhere, WCW, you know, he'd been in Florida, he'd been at WWE, he'd been in ECW. And then he came to the Indies and he'd been doing the Indies the whole time in between. And he's just getting the next crop of guys ready. So he's getting everyone, not just the guys, the girls, everybody backstage. Tracy would come backstage, he'd sit in a chair, and you could just sit around him, and he would teach you shit. He would tell you stories, and he'd make you feel comfortable if you were nervous or you didn't know, you know, like if you're kind of new. Tracy would bullshit with everyone. He was the dad of pro wrestling, man. He got everybody ready. So for me, I'm like, he's a legend. He should be in every Hall of Fame. He should have his own goddamn day in independent pro wrestling, you know, like he's the man. He was the greatest, you know.
And going back on the topic of GCW, man, like you've been working with GCW for quite some time, and I think it's kind of obvious that you're well liked within the promotion. They, you know, you're consistently on the shows. Like, tell me how that kind of, you know, business relationship with Brett Lauderdale kind of came about to where the point where you're kind of like a fixture in GCW, along with the Janellas, along with the AJ Grays. Like, you guys are consistently on the shows and constantly promoting and always like within the mix.
Yeah, so GCW to me, I just did an interview recently out there, the podcast for IWTV. And I was talking about GCW as kind of like a buffet of pro wrestling. It's got everything. And everybody watches it. I always say everybody watches it, man, because everyone from I'm not saying every single person, but
I know what you mean.
All the big companies watch it and they go, we got to get that guy, got to get this guy, got to get that guy. We are basically the modern day ECW. We're the company that, you know, wrestling fans that may not like what they see on TV come to us and then they go, that's my fucking place. So for me, it was kind of, I started going there and the locker room is a family. Everyone there helps each other out. Everyone watches out for each other. You know, if you come into GCW and you got a bad attitude, you ain't gonna stay there because it's legit a family, you know. And going back to ECW, it's kind of like we're on tour all the time. Every month we may have up to 3 or 4 shows in different states. And, you know, we fly all over and do these events. So it's that thing of like, if you look back to ECW, you always had RVD. You always had Sabu. You had the Sandman. You had the Dudleys. And it's just kind of that thing where at GCW, it's the roster, it rotates, but you also have the mainstays, like you're saying. It's always going to have these guys and girls right here. And then there's going to be some guys and girls that come in and mix it up. But like I said, it's a buffet, man. You always get a little bit of something different on each show. So,
and you know, going back to the ManceSplainin show, like I think it's really cool that we're starting to see, especially this year, we're starting to see a lot of wrestlers kind of convert themselves into a brand, if that makes sense. Like they're not like just solely focusing on the in-ring portion of their careers. Like they making plays, making different moves. Like we even seen like Leo Rush, who's been in GCW. Like this dude is about to be on MTV's The Challenge Show. That's like one of the
Yeah.
one of the biggest television shows that MTV has for like 36 seasons straight. You know what I'm saying? And like I think it's cool that wrestlers and even yourself are starting to brand yourself and treat yourself like a business instead of just being solely a professional wrestler. I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's I mean, the way that it's just like any other business, you could do one thing or you could do a bunch of things, You're going to make more money if you do a little bit of everything. So for me, because some people will say, well, why are you doing death matches or why are you doing this? For me, I like to do everything. You never know what you're going to get. Maybe I go brawl for 20 minutes. Maybe I do technical wrestling. Maybe I do some comedy. Maybe it's a death match. Maybe it's, doing just a podcast. Maybe, just a little bit of everything. So there's fans that like they may not like everything, but they may like this, or this.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the end of the day, the point is that we all kind of mix everything up and bring as many eyeballs that we can onto the industry, because then we all make more money. We're all more happy. The fans have more choices for things they can watch. I think it's a kind of a win-win for everybody at the end of the day.
Right. And one of the moments I got to talk about from your career, man, that this was like super crazy. I think it was September 2019 or 2018. I believe it was 2019. You had, I remember you tweeted out, you said you had a collapsed lung after a show, man. I was like, what happened, man? Because it was crazy, man. I was like, so just talk to me about like that experience and how scary of a situation that was. Because like, I just know that had to be like one of the more like, just like, what the hell is going on type moments.
Well, it's weird, man, because it happens. I take a bump to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought maybe I did something to my ribs or something. I just couldn't breathe for a second. So we keep going. I think there was a couple more minutes left. I get done with it. I get backstage and I kind of collapse and I just couldn't breathe at all. But still I'm thinking, because we're crazy, we're all nuts, man. I'm thinking, okay, I got to get to the airport because I got to go to Portland and do another show. So I'm trying to just like, okay, I'll just lay here a little bit. I'll get up and keep on moving. Eventually people talk me out of it. They're like, man, you're fucked up. You can't go. So I end up, getting in a car, getting back home, drove myself home. I had someone drive me halfway and then I got to my vehicle and I got to where I had to go. Me being stubborn, man, I just laid in bed and I was like, maybe I'm just sore. I'll be okay. Then eventually fast forward about a day and a half goes by. And then, my family ends up talking me into going to get checked out. And I just thought, I'll get checked out and I'll be fine. I walked in and they did I think they did an x-ray and then they do all the, checking around and shit. And I remember the doctor looked at me and he was, like, how the fuck did you walk in here? You got one lung. Your other lung is like a pancake. So,
Jesus.
Yeah, they end up cutting me open. They put the little tube in there and then they do what they got to do. And then I was in there for, I believe, a day and a half. And they said I was good to go. So then when they go to take the tube out, I start like squirting out blood and shit.
Oh, my goodness.
So then they, they're freaking out. And then I had to stay there again. And they just, they put you on whatever they shot in me, man, just made me high as a kite. And I just watched TV all day. But I just sat in the hospital, But then you get that big ass bill. You got to pay that off for the next 15 years. Who knows? I don't know. But, it's one of them things where.
I'm about to say that thing like a student loan bill, man.
Yeah, now they got me for a while, But it's one of them things where we all love this industry so much that we're okay with getting hurt. We're okay with, we were taught you got to keep going. You can't just stop.
It ain't ballet, man.
And then even then it's like, okay, well, I'll rest up. And I think I was out for a month. Mm-hmm. And then I came back and my first match back was at Beyond Wrestling against Nick Gage in like 100,000 thumbtack match or something.
What a way to come back.
So, yeah, you take no breaks, I guess.
Yeah. And I did want to ask you, I don't know how much you can publicly speak about this. I don't know the exact situation, but I did want to ask about the situation with yourself in MLW. I didn't know if you were at the recent tapings for the restart. I didn't see them put your, the graphic up for the restart. I kind of want to ask you, like, what is where's the standing between, yourself and MLW right now, as far as you can speak about?
I always say when this comes up, I go, I got to pass on this. I got to pass on that question.
All right. No, I understand. Yeah, no, I get it. Trust me. But lastly, Mance, before we wrap it up, we get you out of here. Let's say 10 years from now, maybe 15 years from now, what do you want the legacy of Mance Warner to be as a human being and as a professional wrestler?
You know, for me, I got into pro wrestling because I respected all the people before.
Mm.
And, you know, for me, at the end of the day, I'm going to keep doing this until I'm old as shit. Yeah, I do a running knee. When I'm old, I'll just do a brisk walk into a knee. You know, I can always hit an eye poke. So I'm gonna be doing this a long time. But you know, I like helping people with promos. I like helping people because sometimes people will do a promo and you don't believe it because they don't believe it. So for me, I like being backstage and helping people try to figure out what exactly they are and what they want to project out there. I like doing that. I like listening. I like trying to help people with the backstage shit in pro wrestling. You know, so for me, I want to wrestle and wrestle and wrestle till I can't no more. But also, you know, backstage stuff, help people figure out what they want to do, how they want to do it, where they want to place it. You know, it's the greatest goddamn, you know, business in the world. So the longer that I could be in it and keep doing it, it's all I want to do, man. I'm just getting started. I've only been doing this shit about 5 years. So I like to think I got another, you know, 30, 40 in me. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
It is. So you heard it from the man himself. Coach Mance Warner is on the way.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Like,
I'm gonna have to get a whistle or something out there, you know.
There we go. But Mance, please, if you got anything that you want to plug, merchandise, you know, your ad-free show, of course, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want, please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so we got ManceSplainin coming up on AdFreeShow. Get on there, subscribe to that. There's all kinds of amazing shit on there, man. You know, I was just watching the thing with Jim Hurd on there, and Conrad had him sit down. They interviewed him about WCW. It was cool to see the other side of it because a lot of people shit on Jim Hurd and say he's a dumb shit, don't know whatever. But then you hear from him directly things that he came
story,
up with.
Man. Yeah,
man. There's so many, you know, Dr. Tom's on there. I used to drink beers with Dr. Tom and just watch wrestling and just try to learn shit from him. So there's a lot of cool things on there. AdFreeShows.com. You get a lot of the episodes before they come out, you know. So, you know, jump on there, subscribe to that. ManceSplainin's going to be on there. What kind of merch do I got? Pro Wrestling Tees. I got T-shirts on there. DoubleHell.com. You could get AJ Gray merch. Tank Man, Calvin Tank Man, my boy Tank Man. Old Mancer, a whole bunch of people on there, you know. Manders is on there. So doublehell.com, SGC merch, Second Gear Crew, a bunch of crazy motherfuckers right there. We got merch on there. Just a whole bunch of shit, you know. Throw my name in there, throw other guys' names in there. A lot of people ain't got work no more. Shit's getting closed down. Support people if you can. If you can't buy nothing, that's fine. Just watch pro wrestling. Enjoy it, you know.
It is.
We're all trying to make it, man. That's all we're trying to do.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to wrap it up for us today. I am Andrew Thompson of the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. This is once again the reigning and defending AAW heavyweight champion, Jake Something. He is not scared of you, sir. This is the man right here, old Mancer. Mance, thank you for your time, brother.
Hey, thank you very much. Thank you.
Boom.